Hi guys, my name's Nikki, and for my micro disease project, I chose rabies. Now, in the US, it's not super prevalent. There's annually about 1 to 3 cases a year, and in the past decade, there's only been like 23 cases, and 8 of those people contracted it outside of the US. So even though it's not prevalent in the US, it's prevalent in a lot of other places, especially countries with large or dense populations. According to the CDC, about 59,000 people die from rabies every single year. And that's like mind-blowing. That's like one person dying of rabies every 9 minutes. And it's usually because they can't get the vaccine in time, they can't get the proper care. These countries have such dense populations, and these people aren't protected against stray dogs or other kind of animals that can have contracted this disease. And so they have a much higher risk of infection. So, the rabies virus. So the rabies virus is an enveloped RNA virus that's single-stranded. As you can see from the picture, the rabies virus is a bullet, and it has spikes coming out of it that are made of glycoprotein. And so how infection initiates is that the virus will absorb the host cell membrane, and then it penetrates it, and it removes the envelope, and then transcription sets in, translation, processing, replication, assembly, and then finally budding. So reservoirs. So usually they are animals, and there's actually specific strains of rabies that are correlated with raccoons, skunks, foxes, coyotes, and notoriously bats. If there is a bat in your house, you need to get out, call animal control, and get the vaccine. I don't care if it didn't touch you. Get the vaccine. And because how these animals infect people is that the virus lives in their saliva. So when they bite you, they break that skin barrier, and then the saliva enters your skin, carrying the virus with it. And then from there, it will travel up the nerves into your brain. Pathovirus. Like I said, once it's in your body, it will go up your nervous system into your brain, where it will multiply and cause inflammation. Now, the time in between it really affecting your brain is called incubation period. And there's not so many symptoms going on right now. It might be symptoms that are common to a normal flu virus, so not too much alarm. But you need to figure this out fast, because once the heavier symptoms set in, you got 7 days. And then nature takes its course. But this incubation period could be anywhere between several weeks to a few months after the incident. So that's why it's so important to get the vaccine when you get a bite almost of any animal. It's just, you have to be very careful. So symptoms. Like I said, the earlier symptoms, very similar to the flu. Headache, fever, fatigue. But then when the later symptoms come in, there's not really much you can do. So later symptoms are such as insomnia, anxiety, confusion, paralysis, hallucinations, hypersalivation, and then hydrophobia. So the 2 most common associated symptoms are hypersalivation and hydrophobia. So the hypersalivation is an overproduction of saliva within your glands, and that's what kind of causes the throbbing, the foaming of the mouth that we see sometimes in cartoons. And then the hydrophobia is actually a fear of water. So these patients, when they're given water, they'll try to swat it away. They're scared of it. It's really sad to watch. They won't drink water. It's very, very sad. This lady in this image, very sad, she contracted the rabies virus, and she's having fits of anger, and she has to be tied down in order to protect herself and to protect the other staff who are attending to her. So treatment. If you do get bit by a rabies infected animal, you need to do 2 things. Wound care. Wash that wound, because if you wash that wound, then you have a much less chance of contracting the virus, which it's a simple step, but it's important too. And you also need to receive a tetanus shot. And then after that, no matter what, get the vaccine. So depending if you have received the vaccine before or have not been vaccinated prior to the incident, there's kind of 2 different routes that you take. So there is a pre-exposure vaccine, which are mainly for people who work with animals daily or in an environment where they come into contact with the rabies virus pretty often. So, like, if you're volunteering at a developing country where the rabies virus is prevalent, then yes, get this vaccine in advance. Also, if you're internationally traveling, you just want to be safe. And so, this one, for the pre exposure, there's 3 doses. So, you get the first dose, and then you wait a week, get the second one, and then you wait 2 more weeks to get the third one. And then there's the post exposure. So, after the incident occurs. So if you have been previously vaccinated, you only need to take 2 doses. So you take the 1 dose, no matter if you've been vaccinated or not, get the first dose right away as fast as you can. And then if you have been vaccinated, the second dose comes 3 days later. So yeah, but if you have not had the vaccine previously, you must receive 4 doses. So first one, like I said, immediately. Second one, 3 days after the first dose. And then 4 days later, get the third. And then 1 week later, get the fourth. And then you also must receive the human rabies immune globin. And then although the cost varies of these vaccines, the cost of the HRIG and the 4 doses, if you haven't been vaccinated, typically exceeds $3,000. So this is also a problem because it's so expensive, but a lot of people who get exposed to the rabies virus, who are, like these people who are homeless, can't afford these vaccines. So it's really sad. So now I'm going to talk about this girl named Gina. So she is the first ever case that has survived having rabies without a vaccine. So in this picture, Gina's about 15 years old, and she's from Wisconsin. And this case happened in 2004. And she was very athletic. She was like the star of her volleyball team, very good physical shape. So what happened? So her and her family went to mass one day, and there was a bat flying up in like the steeple, like in the ceiling, and people were trying to like swat at it with their hats and everything. And somebody had hit it down, and it stayed on the ground, so it might have been hurt. But poor Gina came over, picked it up, and then went to go take it outside to put it down where it could be safe. And right when she was like letting it go, it bit her finger. And she didn't think of anything of it. Her parents didn't think anything of it. They just watched it off and went on with their lives. So initially, while the incubation was setting in, no one noticed anything. Not until a month later. So she was like having a little bit of a tingling in her arm, slurred speech, fatigue, and she was seeing double. So she would talk about during her volleyball game, she would see 2 volleyballs and be like, I don't know which one's which. But yeah, so very like unsettling symptoms. So then Gina's parents took her to the hospital where she was tested for a lot of different things, but not rabies. So by the time the symptoms got so bad, she was admitted to the hospital after her mom had just told the doctor that, you know what, she did get bit by a bat. And the doctor's face just, boom, white. And so they immediately admitted her. And this doctor, Dr. Willoughby, stepped up and was doing all this research, trying to fight against the clock. Because like I said, once those later symptoms set in, you don't have a lot of time. So he was fighting against the clock, looking at a bunch of research, and he found a research article about this person who noticed that in these people who died of rabies, their brain was actually unharmed. It was undamaged. So what he did next was very risky. So he placed Gina into a very, very deep coma to where her brain was unfunctional to give her body a chance to kick in that immune system, which takes like 5 to 7 days. And he didn't know what was going to happen. Was her heart going to give out because they were sedating her too much? But she was put in a coma for about 7 days and woke up. And when she finally woke up, they were really concerned if she was going to be in a vegetative state or not. And so what they did is that they had her mom like go back and forth across the bed. And if her eyes tracked her, then the doctors knew that Gina was still in there. And she did. But recovery was really hard. So when Gina woke up, she couldn't talk. She couldn't walk. She could barely swallow. So it took 2 years for her to finally get those abilities back. She was basically born again as a child. When they brought her home, she couldn't even crawl. So, and even now she has a bit of a slur. But that was 2004. And today she's perfectly healthy. She's married with actually she just had fraternal twin girls about 2 years ago, so that's really really exciting. So yeah, I hope you found that interesting. I think rabies is like super interesting, very scary. So like I said, if you see a bat, go get vaccinated.